tubers. It's gourd. I One of my favorite things to do is breaking myths. And got another one to put out there because it's a relatively new myth, but it's still out there. And that is the negative connotation that concentrates and oils have gotten. So I want to do a video on it. I want to educate and lift some minds as to all the things surrounding this product because it seems to be somewhat very much at the base of the problems that we're dealing with right now in this industry. Let's first look at the legalities. And I'm talking Canada. The Supreme Court of Canada in R versus Smith this year stated categorically that concentrates and oils and any derivative of the plant that is a medicine and therefore a human right. Because in the Canadian Charter of Freedoms, in our charter, our constitution, but here in Canada it's called a charter, medicine is a right. And so therefore this becomes a right. So let's get over the legalities, plant or oil or other form of concentrate. It's all the same thing. It's medicine, recognized by our Supreme Court. The Health Canada interpretation of that should be a moot point because that is only a political appointee interpreting what judges have sat and looked at actual evidence in a trial and come up forward and said, this is okay, this is a medicine. So let's get that straight. Let's get that straight, that a political interpretation of a judicial ruling does not supersede that judicial ruling, especially if it comes from the Supreme Court of Canada, because it's only a political opinion. Political opinions have some power, of course. I'm an anarchist. I don't think they should have any power, but we're in the system we're in and it has some power. But it shouldn't have that kind of power. Now, I want to talk about, I had a discussion with a good friend today who has raised this point before, and I want to really, really try to drive home how I feel about this. And her point was, think of the children. And I always think of the children. I'm a dad first and foremost, every day of my life. I have 2 generations of my own children, and I have grandchildren, and grandchild number 6 coming. So I always think of the children. But okay, let's think of the children. First of all, we know without a doubt that teenagehood is a time of experimentation and testing your boundaries. And some children are introverted, and I don't think it has to do with introversion. I think it has to do with just life. Some people do not push the boundaries so much, others push quite far. So children will experiment. But one thing that marijuana, cannabis coming out into the limelight has done is made some of those children who are going to make a choice to try something anyway, try it, rather than alcohol or cocaine or other things. The earliest studies said marijuana is a gateway drug, and those have all been debunked. All. Alcohol is considered by almost all medical practitioners as the gateway drug now. So if more kids are going to experiment anyway, but if they are being drawn to experiment with a plant, regardless of the way it presents itself in oil form, in powder form, in plant form, regardless, it's still a plant that has zero negative, long lasting side effects, or alcohol, a poison that will and can kill. To me, it's a simple choice. Yes, we all would love a panacea where no child, until their brain is fully developed, 18, 20, 25, 30, touches the stuff that can alter it. But we don't live in, we never will live in a panacea. So if our children are going to experiment, let's let it be as safe as possible. That's all I say. I'm not promoting legalization all the way through the ages. Absolutely not. Some need it medically. Seriously. Some need it medically. Most should stay away from it. Others will try it. I would much rather they try it than alcohol. I would rather a child grow into adulthood without ever trying the evils of alcohol. I quit 13 years ago and almost died from it. I've been smoking pot and now taking medicine since I was 11. I'm almost 45. That's an awful long time, and I've never gotten sick from it, ever. I've gotten sick an awful lot of times from alcohol and almost death. So let's get rid of these things that we already live in a society where alcohol is absolutely simple to get, even though it's illegal for kids. Let's give this medicine at least that footing. I argue, because nobody's ever died from it, that it should have a higher footing. But right now, something that's better for you has a lesser footing in our lives than something that kills. It's wrong. So I'm going on and on about this, but now we get to concentrates. Concentrates. Why are people worried about concentrates being therefore more available to children? There's no study, nobody's ever pointed out that concentrates attract children, attract teenagers. I actually know a fair amount of teenagers that smoke. I know of them. I don't hang out with teenagers, but I have teenage grandchildren and I know about their friends because I talk to my grandchildren. My granddaughter, my oldest granddaughter, who's 17, texts me on a regular basis. We talk all the time. So I'm in touch. I'm in touch. And these guys, they don't like alcohol, but I'm getting off topic. They don't get into the concentrates. Concentrates are too expensive for them. They understand it seems like medicine. Oh, yes, maybe a super treat once in a while. If they do smoke flower, they might once in a while get a concentrate. But as I've suggested, a concentrate is just, here is very likely the same amounts. Let me get it out here. This is about 1/4 of a gram, no, probably about 1/5 of a gram of purple Urkel concentrated wax. This is about 3 or 4 grams of flour. Purple Urkel, same thing. These represent basically the same amount of THC. So, when you're dealing with somebody who has to take medicine, You got to remember that an awful lot of the medical users are not using it for pain. Most of them are using it, sorry, not just pain. Most of them are cancer patients, elderly, and some are doing it for cancer, some are doing it for other things, but smoking is a hard thing for them. To tell them that to save the children, they have to smoke plant material. What century are we in? Aspirin used to be a plant. Aspirin is a plant, but the form we take it in has no plant material. It's gotten all the lipids and other fats and stuff out of it, and we're only getting the medicine that we want. That is all that these two represent. The original, which is enjoyable and can do a fair amount of the pain killing, but you need more of it, or the concentrated form that has most of the things that can cause things like carcinogens, the lipids, the fats, the taken out. So a patient can have a much smaller dose and have it last a much longer time. That's all it is. Now, also, one might say, oh, come on, but what if it's lung cancer? Well, you have to first get into the oil form, and then you can make further products that help these people like me with chronic pain. This is a tincture. It's made from the oils of the after a plant has been broken down into its concentrated form, things like a tincture. Other things like rubs, CBD and THC CBD. Rubs that get into your body and can help in a different way. You can't make these if you don't first make these. So there's many, and then edibles. You can't get into a food medicine if you don't put it first in a concentrated form. You wouldn't want your grandparent, and I'm a grandparent, having to eat this. But a lot of people need to eat their marijuana. There's a lot of children who this stops, 100% stops their seizures, hundreds a day, letting them live normal lives. The best way to give it to a child, who wants to even have a child smoke something like that? You make the oil, and then you take the oil and you put it in some kind of food for them. That's why we have edibles. People say, oh yeah, but edibles attract children. That's a ridiculous statement. The edibles, any edibles that I've ever seen, are either online and you order them, or in these stores which children can't go in. So how can edibles attract children? They can't. So many myths, so much information missing. This, for instance, this oil is not in the carboxylated form. So if I were to eat this, I would get the same result as eating that because the THC hasn't converted. I won't get high. I will get some pain relief, a fair amount. But by heating this, that converts the THC and converts some of the other. In its converted form, it works better with the CBDs that are already in the plant to cause the pain relief. And purple urkel, I like using it. It's a prime example. It's a fantastic plant that increases your appetite and decreases your pain. Perfect for a patient. Cheers. Yeah. And for a guy like me that smoked for 35 years cigarettes, I quit 7, almost 8 years ago. I prefer not smoking. I prefer an edible. And my final statement on it, I just finished hours ago taking a THC pill. What's inside that pill? Oil, concentrated oil. 100 milligrams, that's 1/10 of a gram. It's going to help me sleep tonight. I've been doing this post with this oil in me, and you guys, I'm sure, did not think that I'm super high, and that is like eating 3 edibles. I'm not super high. This is what this medicine is. And to some new, before I say goodbye, if somebody watches this long, is to some new subscribers that seem to be making some rather nasty comments calling me a pothead. This is why I do these videos, is to educate those that just don't understand. This person actually said to me, but there are some of us who would prefer that this community stay on the down low. Well, too bad. Too bad. First of all, if you want to stay on the down low, what are you doing commenting on the weed tuber? We're the ones who want it open. But this community has been down low, and therefore half of us arrested at some time in our life because of it. No, I'm not going to be quiet. Nobody's going to quell this guy. This is what I do. This is what I've done since I could ever remember, is stand up for the rights of people. And right now there are businesses all over British Columbia being shut down, and patients like me now sending out the fingers trying to find my medicine somewhere, because I can't get it from the LPs. The government keeps saying you can get it from the LPs. No, I can't. I have an order coming from an LP, and I'm going to do an unboxing for all of you, but I can promise you the quality compared, and it's only going to be flour. I just checked. Tweed had told me all summer long that it's coming next month. They still don't have oil. They don't have any concentrates. They don't have any shatters. They don't have any THC pills. They don't have any rubs. They don't have what's needed and already available by our patient access centers, PACs. Let's call them that. Dispensary is given a bad name. Let's play the political game. Let's change how we say things. I don't care. I want patients to be able to access medicine, and I want to break the myths. I'll continue to do it until they shut my account off. Cheers, peace, and love.